thought waves of the mind. They are creating the drama of time, space, causation. Just like you watch a movie. The screen is the reality. But the story starts on the basis of frames after frames being projected on the screen. Consider each frame a vritti, a thought wave. In between the two frames, what is that? There's nothing but the screen. In between your two thoughts, there's nothing but the self. Om Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyatena Yopa Karot Tam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi. I offer adorations to the best of sages, Sage Patanjali, who gave to the world the scripture of yoga for purifying the chitta, the mind stuff, and the scripture of Vairagya. It's Ayurvedic medical scripture for purifying the body. And he gave a grammar scripture for purifying the speech. Three points are mentioned which give you an idea of perfection. Perfection to be achieved in this lifetime. Your mind must be directed in three ways. Your body must be kept healthy. Health is the foundation. So never overstep the laws that sustain the body. If you do so, then yogic study will become just verbal palabras. Another, speech. If you do not express properly and allow your speech to be a channel for your spiritually advancing mind, not a channel of a negative mind. Speech then becomes a process of pleasing Goddess Saraswati. The deity of speech is Goddess Saraswati. She sits on your tongue, she watches. Each time you have used hurtful words with a lot of aberrated ego, the words that hit people hard. Each time you do so, you have insulted Goddess Saraswati. This is not in Raja Yoga. I'm giving you broader implications. Therefore, a constant attention must be given towards the understanding of the immense power that words have. All great teachings have come through words of the sages. And all good things in life, how do you bring up a child? A lot of words are used. In every level, you use your words. Words are a channel of your mind. More clarity of thinking, more inner simplicity, and spiritual enrichment. Your words carry that fragrance. More onion smell. garlic. You have generated positive impressions. Your words carry something like fragrance. They touch the heart of people. They urge their spiritual potentiality to unfold. And lastly, and not the least, yoga. Yoga, that's the ideal, the goal. How to allow your soul to become blended with God. This can be achieved by your chitta. Chitta term is translated as mind stuff. Sometimes people get confused. Which is the one? Is it the mind, intellect, ego? Whenever we say mind in general, it relates to four aspects. Manas, that's the most conscious state of mind, which is in close conjunction with the senses. So through your conscious mind, you are constantly picking up perceptions. What you hear, what you smell, what you touch, etc. Intellect is that which evaluates these perceptions, analyzes them, rationalizes them. Ego plays a great role in bringing to you a sense of identity. This is me. What I have done is better than what I did yesterday. In a Rajasic way, I'm better than that person, no matter what the person does. Ego is constantly operating. And then there is the fourth aspect, that does a secretarial job, puts all the impressions into a file, kept in the unconscious. So whenever you need them, the unconscious supplies it. This whole process is magical. No technical instrument exists that can give you the enormity of how the mind operates. What I'm leading you to understand, the mind is just one and the same. That is called manas, when it is operating to pick up the perceptions. It is called buddhi, intellect, when it begins to rationalize. It is called ego, when it begins to assert with a sense of me and mine. And it is called chitta, that relates to the subconscious, unconscious, that supplies memories and stores impressions. All the four are of the same one entity. And that one is known as chitta. Confusion comes because of the four aspects, again the term chitta comes. Chitta is that which stores. So, just like when you hear of prana, prana means all. But there is a mukhya prana that relates to your heart. They are two different things. To give you in a very simple language, each of you is a stuff. When you study in a school, you are a student. When you come home, you are a brother, you are a sister, or whosoever. If you are in a job, you are an officer, a manager, or whatever. You are a doctor with your patients. So you have so many descriptions. Who are you? You are a stuff. mind stuff. That's what your target is to understand. Therefore, as you work towards the culture, control, and transformation of the mind, as you direct your attention in that process, you are benefited in 4 levels. In the level of your dealing with the world, in the practical world, in the level of understanding, gaining insight, at the stage of your ego, how much you should become conceited or humble. On the stage of your unconscious, what should you carry deep within you? This I'm giving general idea. All this will be given you in a much more profound way. But in the beginning stage, I'm trying to give you the simple ABC type. When you study literature, first you just start working A, B, C, D. Or all capitals. Then you are introduced with the smaller letters. And then when you become adept, each one has their own handwriting. So now you are trying or focus to give you the basic insight. The first sutra said, Atha Yoga Anushasanam. We begin the teachings of the yoga. The second sutra said, Yoga Chittavritti Nirodhah. Second sutra defined controlling the vrittis of the mind. That is called yoga. Vrittis refer to little whirlpools. For more easy understanding, thought waves. Thought waves of the mind. Mind refers to mind stuff. So all that you experience in your day-to-day life is the workings of that stuff, the mind. As manas, it goes on giving you perceptions of the practical world. As buddhi, intellect, it goes on evaluating things. As ego, it goes on allowing you to build up your pride, your ego in it. As chitta, it goes on giving you, supplying you with memories. The soul evolves on the basis of the mind, through the chitta. The entire chitta process is instrument for the soul to discover its essential identity. Essentially, your soul is absolute. But it's mixed up with the vrittis, thought waves, for easy understanding, to give the illustration of a barber shop, old style shop. The barber used to have fancy mirrors and parallel mirrors placed in a barber shop. A little puppy dog enters into the barber shop. It's a very naughty puppy, ready to bark. So the puppy looks into the mirror, finds another one. This is only reflection. He barks and look at the conceit of the other. He also barks. The puppy turns back and sees himself reflected and his reflection reflected. This goes on with parallel mirrors. You have lots of those to infinity according to technical understanding. That's the predicament of the world. All that you encounter, all people, creatures, the underlying reality in all of them is one little puppy. Not try to understand it. It is the absolute self, the absolute reality. But mixed up with chitta, the stuff of the mind, the real identity has been lost. It's like puppy is alone, but its identity is lost. Thinks it is in a crowd. So many puppies. Vritti sarupyam itaratra. Yoga is that state when you get beyond the vrittis. That's control. You can change your vrittis, you can manipulate them, you can stand beyond them, you can completely abolish them. Because you are not the vrittis. That's the simple point to understand. That's the basis of your progress, success. The mind is the source of all your inspiration, all your achievement. And it is up to you how to utilize that mind. And whatever you are today is a result of the way you have handled your mind through past lives. And you have the key to the highest attainment by changing the course of your mind. So first you have to understand how day-to-day life is involved with vrittis of the mind. Thought waves of the mind, they are creating the drama. The drama of time, space, causation. Just like you watch a movie. The screen is the reality. But the story starts on the basis of frames after frames being projected on the screen. Consider each frame a vritti, a thought wave. In between the two frames, what is that? There's nothing but the screen. In between your two thoughts, there's nothing but the self. If thoughts were to evaporate from your mind, thought waves, there's nothing but the absolute self, beyond time, beyond space. But somehow that absolute self is giving reality to your thought waves, reality in a practical world, which is not the reality. My intention is not to lead you into too much depth, but to deal gradually. Vritti sarupyam itaratra. Now, the third sutra describes tada drashtuh swarupe avasthanam. If you attain yoga, the climax, then the seer in you, the source of all awareness, the seer, the knower, that seer abides in his own essential nature. Think of the screen as the seer. That screen has become mixed up with projections. But when projections are controlled and transcended. The screen is abiding in its own nature. During rainy season, the sky gets mixed up with clouds. Seems to be racing around with clouds. But when it practices yoga, it rests in itself. I am the sky. There's no way but to give some illustrations, figurative language. Spiritual teaching cannot be given without some similes. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. At deepest level, you are drashtu, the seer. But the seer that has slipped away from its essential nature and resting with the thought waves. The sun has slipped away from its core, from its essential state, and resting in a bucket. Looking at few fishes. Vritti sarupyam itaratra. If you attain yoga, then you attain your essential nature, a revelation, I am that. But if you have not attained that, the thought waves define your identity, define your reality. You are constantly identified with thought waves of the mind. This gives rise to different states of mind. In a broad way, states of mind are classified into 5 states. Mudha, dull. If your vrittis, thought waves, are tamasic, always negative, anger, hate, greed, always in a world of turmoil, that you develop a sense of identity which is described as mudha, dull wit. If rajas predominates and you are identified with ostentatious mind that is constantly running in all directions, not too bad, but it's just running and running, called ghor. That mind is going to create lots of karmas. Ghor literally means terrible. If you generate sattva in your mind, a lot of satsanga, a lot of good thoughts, good deeds, state is known as shanta, peaceful. Again, coming back to the classical division in 5. Mudha, Kshipta, Vikshipta, Ekagrata, and Nirodhah. Mudha means dull state. Kshipta means distracted state. Vikshipta, cultured state of mind, but not enlightened. Ekagrata, now you are really moving towards enlightenment. Mind has become so clear that transparency has come in your projections. You're watching the show, you're watching pictures going on, but somehow there is so much illumination that even though you're watching the pictures, you're actually seeing the screen. In ekagrata state, you are coming to that level of consciousness. In Nirodhah state, even those projections are not needed. They're absolutely beyond the role of mind. Now, as you become an aspirant, You discover that you are moving from one state to another, led by your past karmas. It automatically happens. In the morning, some people wake up as a Mudha state, very dull with. Later, Kshipta comes in, lots of distractions, want to run around, get into a lot of activity. And similarly, you can go into Vikshipta state, more controlled, and you can become very serene. A normal person has all these, but there is one state that is natural for a person. You are at home with that state. That yoga term is given sthiti. You have many chairs to sit upon, but there is one chair that you like it. So those who are lowest in society, they like to be Mudha, dull. All terrorists come in that category. They like to be, ultimately. They may go through study big scriptures, etc., but they come back. I have to help God. Even if I have to give my life, it doesn't matter. And there are times they are able to talk very good things. They can quote scriptures, they can do wonderful things. But where they rest, the resting point is very dull. So that's what the idea is, to give you that you can't recognize a person by meeting them for a short duration. Sometimes a person can appear so peaceful that you will be amazed you have not attained that peace. But that peaceful state of that person is not his norm. That's a passing state. The passing state is called avastha. The peaceful state is sthiti. And there's a difference. Avasthas go on changing. Sometimes you can be in a higher level, but you may slip, come to a lower level. But the lower level is more superficial. But during that time, people can look at you and interpret you as a dullwit. So interpretations are always faulty. That's why all the news that comes in got a lot of faulty information. Interpreting people, commenting upon them, criticizing them on the basis of little things, a little thing they said, little thing they did, and so forth. So your goal is to understand how to ascend, come to a high level and stay there. That should become your normal, not a transient visit. It is not a pilgrimage. You go there, then come back. The pilgrimage is a sattvic term. It's always good. If you go there, you will come back enriched. But what I'm trying to say, it is not like a travel. When you turn away from the vrittis, then you attain swarupa. You are resting in the state, your essential state. That resting can be unsteady. If that is, you are still an aspirant. But when it becomes absolutely steady, called sthita prajna, enlightened, that's what Gita describes in the 2nd chapter. One who is enlightened. He will not waver from that state. Now, coming to the 4th sutra, vritti sarupyam itaratra. At other times, the seer is identified with the vrittis or thought waves. Seer, the self within you, which at this time we are not discussing too much about, but you need to understand the self is the absolute self. When you are not in the yoga state, that is absolutely free of the mental waves, then you are always identified with thought waves. And that is not you. Identified with thought waves, sometimes you are happy, sometimes you are miserable, sometimes afflicted with worry. You are always, from morning till evening, colors change like a chameleon. You don't know yourself what you are. Much less can you expect others to have a clear understanding of who you are. Therefore, vrittis need to be understood, thought waves, and how to work with them. Vrittayah panchatayah klishta aklishta cha. Thought waves are of 5 types: painful and not painful. Now, thought waves, in a very broad way, are classified into 5 types. All these 5 types, if you don't know how to handle them, they go on creating painful karmas. They go on supporting afflictions. If you know how to handle them, they go on removing afflictions. When you use the term affliction, Sanskrit word klesha, it relates to 5 things. Avidya, ignorance. Asmita, egoism. Raga, attachment, mental attachment. Dvesha, mental aversion, hatred. Abhinivesha, a mental fear, insecurity. Watch your mind. And your mind is always involved in these 5. Involvement in avidya seems like very relaxing. A person develops the idea there is no need to be educated. There's no need to know. Says, read the Gita, there are wonderful things to know. Says, why should I? The village way of saying, daant khatakat kim kartabya. Jo partabhyam so partabhyam. Whoever goes studying things, hard work, he is going to die. And those who don't do it, they also die. Lazy people die, and very active people die. Well, why not stay lazy? This form of thinking, to turn away from a sense of doing something, a sense of being creative, a sense of exploring your inner dimension, moving away from that and having no interest in it. that goes on building up impressions, intensifying your ignorance, avidya. That type of thought process is a wrong type. Next, asmita. Asmita is ego. Your mind is involved with. Of course, 90% of mental activity is involved with ego. First, you develop a sense of feeling out your ego. That happens automatically. If you are not internally fulfilled or somehow restless, then your ego draws to your mind. If you are sad, the ego brings in sad thoughts. And mind becomes addicted to ego. Suddenly ego moves away from your mind. And you become uncomfortable. Am I losing my mind? Subtle points. This is not easy. But if you think about it, when we are sleeping and suddenly wake up, first you experience your mind is just void. But what harm is there? But then you become uncomfortable. And suddenly ego jumps in and the play starts. Immediately you become past, present, future, the whole world becomes real. And in general, you can understand ego is like fever. High ego means very little capacity for you to be responsible, for you to be really constructive and purposeful. High ego is destructive, just like a high fever. The normal state of fever is fine. You shouldn't get too cold. You go 101 and 102. But in the case of asmita, if you became highly sattvic, purified, your ego becomes transparent. While you recognize your ego, you recognize what transcends the ego. Suppose you have a very strong stick that supports you. And suppose that stick is completely transparent. They are diamonds and they are crystals, completely transparent, were very strong. Even while you are depending upon it, you are seeing beyond it. Ego can become transparent. That's what happens when you develop the spirit of surrender to God. When you say everything is done by God, not by me. And people watch you and you are the one who are doing it. So you do not go on giving credit to the ego, Rajasic, Tamasic ego. So asmita can be handled by you, can be studied. It should be a constant project. Now come to more practical level, ragadvesha, attachment and hatred. Everything that pleases you immediately creates in your mind a desire, a will. May I have that more? When it displeases, may it move away, go to my neighbors. I added that just for you. You are a good person, then you will not say, not even to the neighbors. Move away completely. But this whole project is very abstract. Things that are liked by you at one time, they are disliked at another time. In the very same day, likes and dislikes mix up. And that becomes the fabric of karma. Therefore, your will has been in different directions. When you have the predominance of like, attachment, you built up a karma to create a situation, a circumstance where that object, that person should be always there. But when you had dvesha, hatred, you created a negative movement. In other words, your mind is creating positive thoughts, positive desires, negative desires. End result is a resultant, which surprises you. People look at themselves and they're not satisfied. Then they want to blame someone. In general, we blame God. A person is born one-eyed. Look at this, God favored everybody, not me. Going to deeper level, this person who is one-eyed today, in previous life was going to lose both eyes. He prayed, oh God, be kind. Don't have to be too kind. Just give me one eye. Now he is born with one eye. His prayer has been answered. And now he doesn't realize that. This is an act of grace implied in it, even though he's interpreting it as a misfortune. These subtle points need to be understood. Otherwise, yogic study becomes just literature. So you need to recognize your tendency, how you become attached, what makes you. And you allow your mind to develop Vairagya, to understand what will be the repercussions. And then you begin to control yourself. Similarly, you control yourself in dvesha. Even in a family, loving children sometimes make too much noise. And sometimes mother or father may not have very healthy nervous system. In their anger, they will send you to hell. So raga, dvesha, they need to be constantly worked upon. Their quality must improve. If you are developing dvesha, make a positive movement. You dislike negative company, don't go into a crowd. Don't go into the bars. Have a little dvesha. Raga, go into satsangs. Go into good associations. So gradually you begin to transform raga and dvesha. Same way you transform your ego. Become more and more sattvic, doer of good things. As this goes on, avidya, ignorance, begins to, just like a cloud, dark cloud begins to become less opaque. Knowledge begins to shine deep down. The last of the kleshas is abhinivesha. Abhinivesha is fear of death. Fear of death is a highlighted aspect of fear. Otherwise, every sense of insecurity within you, how much insecure will become, will depend upon ragadvesha impressions that you have gathered. Ragadvesha impressions of your unconscious. They sustain karma that gives you embodiment. Not only they, when we say ragadvesha sustain, must really avidya, asmita are implied. Mind loses amazing amount of energy over insecurity, worry, anxiety, fear. It haunts people. Read these Puranas, they describe how people are sleeping, resting peacefully, and on the tree is a big demon. Giving you a visual picture. Subtler point is that that type of demon is there, operating in a human being by constantly creating fear, insecurity. The same process of mind can become occupied with, firstly, in a rajasic level or in a practical level, occupied with your duty, your job. How can I do it best? How can I bring out my talent? You can become engrossed in it. That reduces, doesn't cure it. Cure process comes, how can I become a yogi? How can I convert my action into karma yoga? How can I relate myself to God? How can I allow the intellect, ignorance to dwindle and ego to become transparent? And not be a puppy in the barber shop, constantly barking. The more details will come how to deal with the thought waves. The thought waves that are creating these kleshas. They're creating fear. They are creating raga, attachment, creating hatred, creating egoism, intensifying your ignorance. Instead, they will begin to undo each. Instead of fear, creates more faith, more inner strength. Instead of hatred, you begin to detach from things that are harmful for you. An attachment, instead of getting attached to every limited and erroneous objects, you become attached to God, the divine within you. Instead of asserting the rajasic, tamasic ego, you begin to assert the I that is humble to God. And instead of dominated by ignorance, not knowing who am I, what the world is, your heart opens up to the profound knowledge. All is like the ocean of divine existence. Your headache is gone. And with this we can grow up Shanti.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.